Hey guys, how are y'all today?
Good.
Okay, so we have been working on poetry in class, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so we've been working on making inferencing,
Yes.
imagery,
Yes.
and today we're going to talk about some sensory language, okay?
Okay.
So what do y'all think sensory means? What do you think that word means?
Like a new language?
Okay, so maybe language. What else? What are some of the senses we use every day? Yes, sorry, what's one?
Schema?
No, not schema. But let's think about, yeah, there we go, Braseda. So we use our eyes to what?
See.
Okay. What else do we use?
Our ears to hear.
Our ears to hear.
Our hands to
Okay, our hands to, what do we do with our hands? What do we do?
me. No,
Touch. Okay. All right, Keebly?
Our mouth.
Our mouth. What do we do with our mouth?
Taste.
Taste.
Our nose.
Okay. Our nose. What do we do with our nose?
Smell.
Smell. All right. So what do y'all think, since those are our senses, what do you think sensory language means? What do y'all think that means? Let's review real quick on imagery. What is imagery? We talked about that yesterday. What is imagery?
You can see in your head.
Okay, exactly. That is exactly right, Keyword. Okay, so if we have the word imagery, what is my base word in there? What is the root word that I have in there?
Agree.
No, right here.
Emma.
No? What is my root word there? Image. Okay, so what is an image? What's an image?
Like a picture.
It's a picture, okay? So for imagery, we have to use some sensory language. So what do y'all think that sensory language is? It has to do with our senses and us seeing a picture or having an image in our head. So how do we connect all that with our sensory language? Okay, with our pictures in our head. Okay, what if I said the smell when I walked into the kitchen was spicy? What does that mean?
Like you're like smelling something spicy from your nose.
Okay.
You're using your senses.
Okay, you're using your senses. So do we know what spicy means?
Yes.
Okay, so when we use a word like that, that's using sensory language, okay? And it helps, especially with poetry, they use a lot of sensory language, okay? All right, so today we're going to talk about a poem about something we know about, okay? And when we're doing this poem, I want you guys to think about these words, okay? Bark, twigs, trunk, stride, and speckled, okay? What do y'all think about these words?
That you have to use inferencing.
Okay, so we might have to use our inferencing, and y'all remind me, I always forget. What is inferencing again? Somebody raise your hand and tell me, what do we use to inference?
In our reading.
Okay, we use it in our reading. What do we use to inference though?
Brain.
Our brain, right? What is that other word we have? Schema, okay? So we have to take everything that we have knowledge about and make an educated determination, right? Okay, so what do y'all think, looking at these words, bark, twigs, trunk, stride, and speckled, what do you think our poem might be about?
Trees.
Maybe trees, okay?
About dogs.
Maybe about dogs. Why would you say dogs?
Because it has the word bark and the dogs bark a lot.
Okay, and why did you say trees?
Because twigs in the trunk.
Okay, so twigs in the trunk.
I feel like it's a dog. a dog because some dogs have speckles.
Okay, so maybe it's a speckled dog. Okay. Do we know another word for like? Do we know another definition for bark? Okay, so we said dog, right? We know that a dog barks, but what's another definition of bark?
Like another ring. Like a bark of a tree.
Like a bark of a tree. Okay. So does anybody remember what these are called when words look the same? They're written the same, but they mean different things. Okay, do you remember, Keeper? Not synonyms. Remember, synonyms are words that mean the same, like boiling and hot. Okay? But these words, they're spelled the same and they look the same. Not homophones. Very close, but it's something to do with the writing. Do you remember what we talked about? Homophones sound alike, but they don't look alike. Okay? So they sound alike. So like sun and sun, those are homophones. Okay? But when you look at like bow and bow, okay, we have like a bow and arrow and a bow that you wear on your head. Okay? All right? So a homograph is where the words look the same, but they have completely different meanings. Okay? And a homophone is where they sound alike, but they don't look alike. Okay? So we have two meanings for bark. Okay? We have twigs. What are twigs?
They're sticks.
They're sticks. Okay? And then a trunk. There's lots of different meanings for that word. Let's just explore some. What is one?
An elephant's trunk.
Okay, so an elephant has a trunk. Sir?
A truck from the back.
Okay, so like a trunk of a car. Okay.
A trunk of a tree.
A trunk of a tree. Okay. All right. And has anybody ever seen a big trunk that you put things in?
Yes.
Like a big, like rectangular prism that you put stuff in? Okay. All right. So we're going to look at these words. And y'all have made some really good educated guesses. Okay. So let's go ahead and read our poem. And first I want you to scan the poem to see if there's any words that you don't know. And I'm going to give you a colored pen, and I want you to circle those words, okay? All right. Okay, and real quick, let's go over what we're going to try to do for today, okay? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to try to understand and make inferences about our poem and draw some conclusions, okay? Which you guys have already started out really strong, but I want you looking for that academic vocabulary that we need, okay, to recognize in our questions, okay? Also, what else do we need to find? When we're reading something, what do we need to find? We need to look at our text features. What else?
Context clues.
Context clues. Okay.
The details.
Okay, the details.
Text features.
Okay, and then we also need to, when we have a question and we answer it, we need to have what?
Evidence.
Evidence. Okay, so I want you looking for all of those things, and when we finish and I'm asking you questions, I want you to try to use as much academic vocabulary as you can. Okay.
I see a word that we are.
All right. Okay, so remember, I want you to be able to answer these questions using your evidence and all your features, okay? All right, so y'all go ahead and take a few minutes and find any words that you may not know and circle them.
We circle it.
Mm-hmm. Everybody done? Okay. Now, you guys have circled some really good words that we might not know our meaning to. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the poem, okay, and let's see if we can figure out any context clues to help us figure out what our circled words are, okay? All right, this is called climbing. The trunk of a tree is the road for me on a sunny summer day. Up the bark that is brown and dark through tunnels of leaves that sway and tickle my knees in the trembly breeze, that's where I make my way. Leaves in my face and twigs in my hair, in a squeeze of a place, but I don't care. Some people talk of a summer walk through clover and weeds and hay. Some people stride where the hills are wide and the rocks are speckled gray. But the trunk of a tree is the road for me on a sunny summer day. So what are we reading about? We're reading about a tree, right? And what is, if y'all look at your text features of the picture here, what is the little girl doing? She's climbing the tree, okay? All right, so Yusuri, what was one of the words that you circled that you didn't know what meant? Okay, sway. So let's read that stanza again, okay? Up the bark that is brown and dark, through tunnels of leaves that sway, and tickle my knees in the trembly breeze, that's where I make my way. So, leaves that sway. Did that help you any to figure out what that word means?
Isn't it like windy?
Okay. All right, so what do you think, Camilla?
Windy?
Okay, so it's windy. So when it's windy, what do the leaves do?
They move.
They move, right? And so they sway in the breeze, okay? And what about, let's see, y'all, did all of y'all have that?
No.
Okay, all right. Let's look at the other one that's in that stanza, trembly. Trembly breeze. What do y'all think trembly means? Okay, so maybe the tree shakes a little bit. Have y'all noticed that before when it's really windy and the leaves are coming out and they kind of shimmer? All right. Okay, what's another one? Kiwi, what's one that you had?
Stride.
Okay, stride. That's a good one right there. Who knows what that means? Nobody? All right. So let's read that. Some people stride where the hills are wide and the rocks are speckled gray. But the trunk of a tree is the road for me on a sunny summer day. So what do y'all think? What is that saying? Some people stride where the hills are wide and the rocks are speckled gray. Okay, so she's climbing, right? And what is she using as her road? A tree. Okay, so she's using the tree trunk as a road for her, okay? So, but she says some people stride where the hills are wide. So what do we think?
Like when you're hiking on the mountain, you like stride.
Okay, that's exactly right. Okay, so like when you're hiking, you take steps, right? Like almost like you're walking, okay? So a stride is you're walking. Okay, very good. All right. That's using your context clues. Y'all did a really good job with that. Okay, so what do you notice about this poem? What type of poem do you think it is? Okay, remember we have narrative, lyrical, humorous, and free verse.
Free verse?
Well, let's.
It rhymes.
It rhymes, so
It cannot be free verse.
it's not free verse.
If it's free verse, it will not rhyme. No.
Okay.
Human. Yeah.
Okay, humorous. Remember what is humorous? Humor.
Human. Oh, it's like a... Oh, funny.
Okay, so humorous is funny. Okay.
It's not funny.
And this wasn't funny. There wasn't anything funny about it, was there?
No.
Okay, why is it narrative?
Because it rhymes.
Okay, it rhymes, but also what else? What is our narrator when we're doing stories or plays, what is the narrator? Who is that?
The speaker.
The speaker.
So
Okay.
it's talking.
Okay, it's talking, but it's also telling a what?
The story.
It's also telling a story. Okay, so it's narrative. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's just review real quick, okay? And what I'm going to have you guys do when you go back to your seats is I'm going to have you work on a poem on your own. And we're going to, of course, underline the word or circle the words we don't know, okay? But then you're going to have some questions that you have to answer on that point, okay? And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll compare the 2 poems, this one and the other one that you read, okay? To see how they're alike and how they're different. Okay. All right, so let's review real quick. Okay, so when we take all of our information to answer questions, what are we doing? We're using what?
Schema.
Our schema, okay, and our context clues, okay? And then also, when we're answering our questions, what are we finding in our reading selection?
Our main idea.
Okay, but when we're answering questions, what are we going to find in our reading to answer our questions correctly? Details, but what else? Okay, remember we're detectives. What do we have to have in order to, okay, or
Context clue.
or what's the word that we always talk about? You have to go back and underline your what? Evidence, okay. All right. And when we use all of our schema and all of the information we just learned, what are we doing? We're taking all of our knowledge, all of our schema, and we're going to make a choice. But what is that called? When we put all of that together, what is it called? Inferencing, okay? When we draw conclusions and we do the plot, the theme, the main idea, we use all of our character and our context clues for inferencing, okay? So, let me show them a picture. Well, there we go. Okay. Don't worry, you're not in there. All right, guys, so now I'm going to let you guys go back to your desk and work on the other poem. Remember, underline the words that you don't know, okay? If you need help figuring out a word, what can you use? Well, but you don't know that. Well, use your context clues, but what book can you use in my classroom?
Dictionary.
The dictionary, okay? So always use your dictionary if you need to know some of those words, okay? All right. Okay, well, I will see you tomorrow, okay?
Can you keep these?
Yes, you can keep them.